Hey guys, and welcome back to another, kind of fun edition of It's About Time. You guys know me. I'm Jared, my partner in crime, Drew, of course. Tonight's episode, let's see. Drew got something very special. We're going to talk a little bit about it. And we're going to also go into a kind of a new topic tonight about how to get a watch on somewhat of a trial basis.
Exactly where I was going.
So, before we get into this...
What's on the wrist, Jared?
Well...
You want to go in a little more detail than you did last episode?
Nope, I'm not going to, because I'm waiting to do a special episode where I do a little bigger, detailed review, but today I'm wearing the Mito Commander. Again, all you guys know what I told you last time. We only have one episode so far, right, this year?
That's right.
Is that this will be the watch that is on my wrist every day this year. So, on to Drew's watch. I'm just going to do a little introduction, and I'm going to have him go into his whole thing. So, Drew...
Before we get there, let's go back to last episode when you asked me to do a review of the watch I was wearing that I wore for the whole week, if you remember, correct? Because remember, this year we're not just telling you what's on
hold
our
on.
wrist.
No, you know what we're going to do? If he's not wearing it this week, we're only going to go into the watch that you're currently wearing.
Now, I can't do that yet because I did a whole review on the watch I had been wearing up to this previous week, like you wanted. So, here it is. As you all remember, this was the Oris BC regulator that I wore last week. Okay, thank you very much.
Can you see this?
As we all know, yeah, it's actually pretty good. As you can see, my BC regulator, here are the minutes, this is the hours, and here are the seconds. That's what we discussed last week. I did wear it for a week, and we did
Drew, excuse
a
me.
series of
There's
tests.
something around here. What is this?
It's called a bezel, Jared.
Oh, what kind of bezel is it?
That's called a coin bezel.
It's called a dive bezel.
Yes, which is also called a coin bezel, you dick. So, here we go. Now, what we're going to be doing this year is we're going to be giving these watches report card grades.
Well, he is. I'm only down to 2, so I'm not really going to
That's
be giving
fine.
you...
So my collection we can give report card grades to because I still have a collection to give them to. So, here's the report card grade, and this is what I was able to do with it this week.
I can read backwards.
Good. Then you can know that it does pass the water-resistant test because, as Jared mentioned, it is a dive watch.
So I must ask, functionality, what does that mean?
Functionality is a category where we say to yourself, does it function? Yes, it functions very well. Okay, you can read the time very easily. Functions mean, does it have a date? Does it work correctly in all different types of conditions? Yes, it passed that test.
I think we have to go into an episode where we do different functions of our watches and show the viewers how they work.
That is a good point.
Mm-hmm.
And it does pass the test of everyday use. Could you use this watch as an everyday watch? Absolutely. It is a dive watch. Dive watches are frequently worn as everyday watches. Why are you taking that away from the viewers?
How large is that?
It's 40.
40 millimeters.
Thank you very much. Okay, back on to test number 4. Can it be banged around? Yes, dive watches typically can be banged
For
around.
example, what does that mean, bang around?
Bang around means you can knock it anywhere. You can knock it into walls. You can knock it into literally anything you want.
Can you drop it on the ground?
Yes, you can. That is called a bang around. It is a bang around piece. Dive watches are some of the most shock-resistant pieces you can find out there because of the materials that are made of the watch.
Tell me about the next category, sports.
Yeah,
Fail?
it fails. In sports, okay, it's not a watch you really want to wear for sports.
Why
And
not?
the reason is because it's too heavy. This is not, if you play golf, like Jared and I frequently do, this would be a watch that would slow down your swing. This type of watch, especially a dive watch, is a very heavy watch. And the weight of it can affect how you play sports. So, it does fail the sports test. Can you wear it for work? Absolutely. And you can do a lot of different stuff with it. Construction, all different types of stuff with it as well. So it does pass the work test.
Now, water resistant, I meant to ask you that. How did you test that?
Well, I took it in the shower and I took it underwater.
Did you put it into your pressure tester?
Don't need to. It's a dive watch. It's 20 ATM. But I did put it underwater. Wouldn't need to. So it did, obviously, it would pass that test. Okay, but yeah, is it easy to fix? Yes, it does pass that test as well. If I needed to regulate it, you do not, and what I mean by this is you do not need a special tool like a Bulgarian.
Oh yeah, wait a minute. Check out our previous episode on watch regulation.
Correct. Okay, you do not need a Bulgari or you do not need like a Breitling, a special tool to get inside them. This takes a regular tool, a regular case opener, and you can regulate it to fix the speed of it. Is it a dress piece? No, it really fails in that area. It's really not dressy enough. It's more of a workman's type piece or a swimmer or a diver's type piece. Not something you would typically wear to a wedding. Okay, is it scratch resistant? No, it fails there too. It's not ceramic. This thing scratches up very easily. Stainless steel tends to do that. And finally, is it comfortable? Yes. The Dive Oris does make a very comfortable band, so it does pass that test. And there's your report card on the Oris BC3 regulator that I wore for the past week.
Huh. Well, I'm going to beat his report card going forward. At least in, you have 2, 4, 6,
7.
8, 10?
Well, 10 categories.
So I'm going to beat you in that.
It's very nice. I didn't know it was a competition. But
oh, in terms of, you know, one of the things
you asked me to do all that, and I did it.
Right, you didn't mention this. What's the accuracy per day?
I regulated it to within 2 seconds a day.
Fast or slow?
Fast.
Okay, so 2 seconds fast a day.
But that is all where you want it to be. When you play around with it more, you can get it even more accurate. That's just depending on the person. Some people don't care. That's why
screw down crown or no screw down crown?
Screw down crown it has.
Screw down crown it has. Okay.
Has.
So we're gonna go more into that. So anyways, well, thank you for doing this.
No
Just
problem.
keep them coming because this is great.
There's a report card on that.
Keep them going. So are you gonna be wearing a particular watch this week or no?
I will indeed.
You will indeed. Okay. So anyways, I'm gonna do a little intro to this next watch. So I'm gonna have Drew go all into it. And that, by the way, this is going to be a longer episode. We're going to be going into something after we introduce this piece. So, those of you who know JLC, a.k.a. Gigi Le Court, a.k.a. Jaeger Le Culture, a.k.a. How else do people pronounce it?
Just Le Culture.
A.k.a. this brand on this box. Okay? Let's just say that. So, one of their most iconic pieces of all time
we have here tonight
is called the Reverso. And what they did was, Reversos came about, I don't know if we've mentioned this on previous episodes, that it's going back in the, I don't know, mid-1900s-ish or something like that, or like a little later 1900s. Polo was a big sport, especially amongst royalty and very wealthy people. So JLC created a watch where people could still play polo. Most people would be worried about banging up the crystal on their watch and messing it up. So what they did was they created a watch that, like the name implies, it reversed. So they would have the time on the front, flip the watch over, and the crystal would then be protected. So interestingly, Drew was telling me that a lot of JLCs, the ones that I would really prefer, they make a lot of even really expensive ones in quartz. What's our opinion of quartz? Okay. So, the one that he got, I'm just going to go into a little detail, but I'm going to have him go into everything with you because he's the one who has it, and then we're going to go into another segment, which I may surprise him with. So, the one that he got, I don't know the case size, I don't know the case diameter, I'm going to have him go into all that. My impressions when he showed me the picture, I'm going to let you guys decide after,
And keep in mind, Jared has not seen this watch either. I
actually kind of have seen it.
No, not in person.
Alright, not in person. So, in my opinion, number one, the crown is really, what's the, I'm trying to think of exactly the word here. Just give me a second.
Protrudes?
The crown is really disproportionate to the case, in my opinion. Yeah, it does stick out a little bit, but it's just very disproportionate based on what I saw in the pictures. To me, it's not a watch that I would personally pay the money for to get. Is it an everyday piece? It could be, but it's not really. It's more like a dress kind of piece. I don't know. I'm not a fan of the take style. I think it's a little small. And finally, my last huge complaint about it is the fact that the hands are a bit large. And, you can still kind of read the time, but the hands span like 3 different minutes. So I'm not I'm a fan of thinner hands, a little bit more distinctive minute markers. But that's it. Now, I don't know the water resistance. I don't know any of that other stuff, but that was just the little introduction. But I'm going to have Drew go into all the details. After he does that, we're going to take you guys on a ride. We're going to do something we've never done before.
Okay. So, quick little, we've done this before many times. Everybody who's watched my watch reviews, I've usually done them alone. Today, I get to do my good friend Jared.
Wow.
So,
and, wait, do I get to do some input?
Absolutely.
Yes, okay.
So, we get to do our joint watch review.
That is actually very nice of you.
We've never done this.
Wow. Okay, this is a surprise.
Right. So, he's never even seen this watch.
I'm not.
I have
only
had
from
a chance,
pictures.
only for an hour, to actually check it out myself. And
have you
perform all
timed it or
functions.
done anything with
I
it?
have. After 6 hours, it was running about a second fast. Okay, so again, within the specs that you would need to be done. But,
That's
okay,
fantastic.
so let's go through these watch reviews like we normally do. As you can see, JLC usually gives their typical presentation box.
Let's see the box.
Okay?
So Drew, can you, before we open this up, can you tell us about how you got this and
Yes, good question.
Yeah, I'm just kind of curious.
This one I got on, not eBay, I got this on Chrono24.
Okay.
Okay, I had bargained down, it was a jewelry store I got it from, and they had sold it to me at a nice discounted price of around $2,500.
Okay.
Usually, normally run these things brand new, and this is probably about 7 to 10 years old. This goes for about $8,700.
Retail.
Brand new, in the store, torn up.
Okay. So you got it for $2,500.
Right at $2,500. So I said, that's a pretty good deal. Let's try it out. Now, I frequently do this with a lot. You guys, something you may not know is pretty much all my watch reviews that I have done, I'd say only 2 out of the 6 or 7 reviews I've done with you guys, I actually still have. Kind of an interesting fact.
Yeah, I was going to say.
My most watched watch review, which was the Oris Staghorn, I don't have that anymore. Even though...
Why don't you have it anymore?
I had other watches I needed to get that replaced it. My collection frequently changes. It doesn't overhaul, it just rotates with time, and some pieces we grow out of and some pieces we have to get that I've always wanted. So, getting back to this one.
Okay, it's a nice box.
Nice box, traditional, standard box.
With the gold lettering in the blue.
Yes.
Very nice.
Okay. And it's the same box I had with my other JLC, the World Time. Same exact box. Okay, so same time period.
Okay. So far the outside impressive. Very nice blue leather.
Very nice blue leather box inside, as you can
I'm
see.
feel the heft a little bit here. Yeah, I'm gonna have you open that up so I can get some of this stuff out.
He's got the booklet in there, which is underneath.
So you have a Reverso. You have the certificate.
Yes.
The guarantee certificate, which is actually fantastic. This is the person who purchased it when they purchased it. This gives you all the information about the watch, which not all watches come with this. So for it to be pre-owned with all box and papers, that's very impressive. And of course, it's a very impressive piece of parchment.
Yes, you can tell it's got the perforated edges, serrated edges, and everything as well. So you do have all the box and
the
papers
instruction booklet as well.
Correct. So Alan was the first person who had this watch before me. Okay, so that is actually going to come into play later on. So
that's going to come into play.
Yes, absolutely.
Interesting.
Here we go.
So far it's a
so far not so bad, right? Okay, we open up the box and we have nice lettering as usual from JLC. As you can see, they wrap it up like a bed.
So you have like a little cloth that's right in here.
Little cloth.
Oh, whoops!
And there's the watch itself. Okay. Now, a couple interesting things about this.
It's nice pattern. What they call these are called presentation cases.
Yes. Very nice presentation case.
You got it sized?
No, I was able to size it myself. And the reason being, as I was able to fool around with this sucker, it comes with 2 things. It comes with extra links, and it comes with its own tool to resize it. How nice. It's a special little tool that it has to fit the links. And I'm going to show you how to actually resize a Reverso link, because I was able to teach myself to that. And it wasn't bad at all. So, we close the box. And Jared, your impressions of the watch when you first look at it.
So I'm going to take mine off just for a second, because I may put this on for a second. Alright, so first I'm going to do is I'm going to show the camera for a few seconds. I'm going to let you guys take a look at it, see what you think of it before I give my in-person impression. Clear on the camera? Okay, so you guys have had a chance to take a look at things. Alright, so let's see. So the first thing that I notice is we have a very interesting class that I had, dual deployant. Not exactly a scissor class, but a dual deployant. It's really like a customized JLC class, but it is signed on the class, which is very nice. It's safety lock, which is something that you don't see most brands doing. Very easy release, which I think is very good. The links seem very sturdy, very durable. This particular one, I guess it doesn't have the arrows on it, but I know Drew's gonna be able to do it. Taking a look at the face of it, again, the crown, it does seem very, like I was saying from the pictures, very disproportionate personally. I think it sticks out a little bit. However, I don't think that that's going to necessarily affect it when you put the watch on, because it's not a large watch to begin with.
That's correct.
Very easy to
very
definitely.
Comfortable.
Yeah, it's actually a very lightweight watch for it's stainless steel. I'm guessing
stainless steel
material.
Yep.
Again, I mean, can you read the time on something like this? Yeah, but again, the minute hand, it's a little bit large in my opinion. What's the case size on this approximately? Do you know?
Case size is 25 wide, 35 long, 35 millimeters.
All right, so 25 width. Okay, so that's interesting. I mean, again,
that's about standard for any type of tank watch. It's anywhere between 25 and 28.
It would be kind of hard to use this as an everyday piece, really. At least I think. I'm personally not a fan of darker watch faces, but they're still okay. I mean, it's listen, on first glance, it's not really hard to read necessarily. Very smooth second hand, I will say. I guess this is beating at 28,800 VPH. I would assume so. Nice big date window, which a lot of JLCs really don't come with, to be honest with you. Very rare to find the automatic with, the date window, as I know you already know. So I guess the other big question is, because I want to take this off, is now I've never personally had a Reverso.
Oh, I'll show you.
So all right, so Drew's
we'll
about
get
to
to
show
the fun
us.
part at the end. Okay. Some other things that people would maybe ask me about this watch. How water resistant is it? Okay. Bad alert. It's only 3 ATM.
Oh, okay. So
weird though. Here's the good part. It's got a screw down crown.
Can I see the hold on a second. Screw down crown?
Yes, it's got a screw down crown.
So
which
case back
means
is signed Reverso JLC with the.
That's actually not the case back. That's the band back.
Hold on 1 second. Wait a minute for 1 minute.
Okay.
What'd you say this is?
It's a 3 ATM.
5 ATM or 3 ATM?
3 ATM. Okay, it's a 3 ATM, but
you sure about that?
That's what. Yes, that's what it's stated at. What did it say on the actual back? Oh, son of a bitch! Stated as 5 ATM.
This is actually rated at 5 ATM, believe it or not. And
on the website, it's
the
listed as 3
reason
ATM.
why, the reason why I'm going to tell you guys this. So you know what? The reason why is because. All right. So now I'm just gonna maybe like. All right. So you know what? We're just going to do this on this episode right now, and then we'll go into the differences between all the crowns and stuff like that. Screw down crown, I'm going to show you guys what that means right here, right? Now, the crown is in this position. I'm not going to take the thing out because I'm guessing you're still timing it, right?
Yeah, that's fine.
So I'll leave the crown in. So with most traditional crowns, so the crown is out now, you would just push it in and it would go in. But see how that stays out? What you have to do with this particular one is you have to apply pressure so it pushes in, then you have to rotate it upwards. And see how now the crown gets pushed into the case, so now there's no space in between the case and the crown. That's what screw down crown means. And we're going to go into all the different kind of crown things in another episode.
Most websites list this watch as a 3 ATM.
Really?
Yes, and that is
for this model?
For this model. And that is the very deceiving part, because I'm just going off what the specs say. And it says 3 ATM, but Jared is correct. Look at it with a magnifying glass. It says 5 ATM.
Whoops. Sorry, I had to.
Well, we're going to get to that part.
What's cool about this watch?
Okay. Now, as Jared was saying, okay, these type of watches were worn especially for sports, for polo players back in the early century. Okay. Now, the interesting part about this watch is the fact, how do you resize it before we get to the actual main feature of this watch? Well, I have the links so Sandra can
Sandra,
come
I
in
will
here.
take the
Jared
phone.
will take this.
I'm going to take the phone.
This tool is designed for these
Can you show the
links
tool?
Specifically, okay? It looks like a regular little push pin, okay? But it's designed exactly the right specifications.
So now, Drew, can you give us a play-by-play of exactly what you're doing?
What I'm going to do here is I am actually going to take this piece and I'm going to push it in. As you can see, it goes all the way in. When I push it all the way in, this is a spring bar. And if you can see, I just moved it out of the way. Okay, what that does is that releases the spring bar from the rest of the link. Very well designed. If you see on these two sides, each of them has a spring bar. And that's all you have to do to remove the link. But you need this special tool at this special size to actually do it. Well, anything else will not fit. So JLC is, as long as you have the tool, it's very easy to remove. So you can see the different type of spring bars. Most pins only have, well, most of them are actually dual-sided spring bars, but one is designed for that specifically. This one has two equal springs.
Normally you only see that on, like, near the case where the bracelet attaches to the case.
Correct, and usually it's a lot harder to get. You know, the spring bars are a lot. You have to push them out.
Here, guys. What I mean by that is like right over here where I'm showing you. That's usually like where the case meets the bracelet. Drew, can you just point to that area where the case meets the bracelet? So right here, that's where you normally see the spring bars on the reverse side of it.
And then you would have to push these out with a hammer or something like that, which is your typical way of doing it. Not here. JLC went around that, and they actually used the tool to release the spring bars.
So it makes it easier to
remove the links.
That's great.
Which is much easier. And I said to myself, wow, I didn't have to go to a jeweler or anything to get that
Very
done.
interesting.
So, now, the big question is, again, it's 25 millimeters wide, 35 millimeters high. Here is the big question, the reverse part of it. People always wonder, how do you reverse it on a reverso? Well, it's easy. All you have to do is you push open with your thumb like this, okay, and it will flip over. Here's the kicker to this watch, though, and this is something that I learned today that I didn't really know. Most pre-owned reversos, as I mentioned, who was the first owner of this?
That gentleman.
And what was his name?
Alan whatever.
That's right, Alan whatever, right? Little motherfucker actually had his fucking initials put in. Yep, that's the bad part about reversos, people. The first owner usually puts his, and now it may have been for a birthday piece or an anniversary present. That's what usually happens. And that is the main reason why I'm going to have to return this watch.
I was actually just about to say, are you going to be keeping it or returning it?
And that was going to be his question. I had to beat him right to it. I have to return it. Because I cannot have somebody else's initials in my watch.
Yeah, that kind of...
Here's the problem with personalized pieces. Unless you have the same initials, it's absolutely useless to you. So I am going to have to return this Reverso. Unfortunately, that's why I got it at such a good price. I figured out because...
That's what it was.
That's why, because it wasn't great. But you didn't really know until you got into it.
So now we're going to go into our next segment.
Yes.
So Drew, camera, please follow us. We're going to be having a little bit of fun right now, although Drew's going to explain... Guys, follow us down, sir. We're going to be doing things a little differently now.
Oh, part 2 of this combined dual episode.
So Drew surprised us. Now, I will be surprising us a little bit with this. So now, how do returns work? Coming to the lair. Alright,
This is going to get weird.
Drew said that he ended up buying it through Chrono 24, and he's going to explain the return policy with that. I am going to go into the return policy on eBay. Now, how do you really return a watch? Because, most times when you get watches or things like that, can you really return them?
That all depends on how you buy them.
Depends on where you get them from, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
So, ladies and gents, come on over here. I'm going to show you guys something cool and fun. I'm going to pull up examples from Drew's and my eBay a little bit. So this is from eBay. So I'm going to show you guys this. This is kind of cool. If you guys ever get a watch through eBay, you guys will know that there are return policies. And for those of you who don't, you're going to learn something new. What we have is this. So with listings, this is very interesting, right? What you want to do, now I'm going to bring up an example of me, for example. This is a watch that I just recently sold to somebody. And I'm going to bring up the listing so you guys can see this. Now, I want to have the camera pay attention to this. So, it lists the item condition, when it ended, the winning bid, and all this other stuff. However, it says on returns. Every return says differently. Some returns say, my example, seller does not offer returns, meaning I do not accept them. Now, of course, you get the eBay money-back guarantee, like we've said many times before. So, if the product is not as described or something is really, really wrong with the watch, then eBay has you covered. But under 90% of circumstances, as I've personally learned, especially through contacting eBay, when the seller says does not offer returns, there are no returns on the product. Now, so that's one example. Some people do 14-day money-back guarantees. Some people do 30-day money-back guarantee. I'm going to go over to Senor Drew Pizzulo's wonderful, and we're going to be giving you guys some updates on a few things, but not quite yet. So, particularly, I'm going to show you guys this. I'm not going to show you guys all these details here and stuff like that. So, for instance, what Drew says is 14-day money-back, buyer pays return shipping. So what that means, anytime that a seller accepts returns, it means that the buyer always pays the return shipping no matter what the cost is. That falls on them. But the buyer has the option to return the merchandise. So this is one of, now let me stress this is really on used worn items, really. If it's brand new and you size it down, take off your tags and everything, chances are it's not going to be accepted for return unless there's, sometimes like a restocking fee. Most of the times, though, you got to check the return policy for the seller themselves. But this is a great episode to point out to you guys how eBay works with their money-back guarantee. Always look in the return section. That'll show you, are returns accepted? Are they not accepted? And if they are accepted, how long do you have? Do you have 14 days? Do you have 30 days? Some people have 60 days. It all depends on the seller, and it depends on the merchandise. Now what I'd like to have Drew do is go into Chrono24, maybe onto his account. That way he could show us the returns with that website.
Well, Chrono24,
Similarly,
Chrono24 is a little different than eBay because Chrono24 has the sellers determine how they want to do the return policy.
the sellers.
Yes, every seller is different. For instance, the watch I just bought was the Reverso, which you just saw for the watch review. And the Reverso, according to this seller, had a 3-day return policy.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm getting screwed over. Okay. There we go. Wrong password. All right. Okay. So this one had whereas the Staghorn that I had bought over the summer, actually back in April, was a 30-day return policy. And the Breitling I had bought in this site was a 14-day return policy. So as you can see, because some of these places are jewelry stores, they only have a 72-hour return policy. And others, like this one, I got them from DeMassey Fine Watches and Jewelry. So you can see that it has a different.
Where does it list a return policy on here?
Basically, the sellers, you can't really see it after you buy the watch. You can't see the return policy.
You can't see
However, in the messages that I did, that I did
I'm
exchange
not
with the
don't worry
seller.
about it.
Hold on. There we go. Okay. I asked him about the return, the buyer, dealer. Here we go. So that they would give you the site on where to do it, and where's the dealer over here? Here we go. They tell me what.
So does it say where the return policy is?
They mentioned it in the.
Or is it just in the
one of the
listing?
messages?
Can you see the original listing?
No. In Chrono 24, once you buy the watch, they do not allow you to see the original listing. You can click on it.
Can we bring up a listing that can show an example of
Alright, let's take a look at a Reverso.
anything? Yeah, doesn't matter.
Doesn't really matter.
Just bring up
Let's bring up
anything.
this one.
Lovely.
Okay.
So where would it say the return policy on this?
It usually says depending on who's selling it. That's the interesting part.
So if it doesn't
It's
say, does
usually
that
in
mean
the
that there's
details.
No. All right. So
Oh,
go down to
details. Here we go.
details?
Yeah. If you go down to the details, you'll see exactly what it is. This one's white gold.
Does it say return
And
policy?
Is there anything? Yeah, well, there's a 1-year warranty on this. Does not say anything about returns. It's up to them. See, Chrono 24 is a bit different than eBay.
So it's not as apparent, I guess you
No,
would say?
no, it's a lot more. It's up to the seller. You have to really ask on Chrono 24
So
exactly what.
So
the
you
return
really
policy
need
is.
to send messages to. Now, did you ask that?
Yes.
Did you send a message? Can you
Yes.
bring up the message?
It won't let me show it right now. I guess for security reasons.
It won't let you show it?
Nope, it's not letting me show it right now.
Okay. So for Chrono 24, the best thing to do, I guess, is to, with eBay it's a lot more apparent. With Chrono 24, the best thing to do is to send a message,
You
show a little
physically ask the seller
discretion.
exactly what the terms are of the deal. Now, again, you are paying, as Chrono 24 has gotten through the years, you can pay through your credit card now. It used to be just wire transfer. Now it's gotten to the point where you can pay through credit card, you can pay through PayPal, you can pay through a lot of different stuff. So you always are protected through PayPal, you're always protected through your credit card. If something went wrong with the watch, they're going to back you up anyway. And the seller knows that. That's why most of these sellers, our jewelry stores and stuff like, they're going to take back the watch. But they each have different terms on how to do it.
Right, I was going to say, the only difference really between eBay and Chrono 24, I think eBay is a little bit more apparent with their policies, like up front, and allows the seller to just like list it. But again,
eBay has standard policies for the whole site.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
either can accept or you don't accept. And if you accept, it has to be 14 days. They only give you certain options. Chrono 24, you go by your own rules. It's more of an outlaw site where you make up your own rules. 72 hours, a week, 2 weeks, 3
But
days.
however, the good news is that at the end of the day, this is a good way for you guys. This is the whole point of this episode a little bit. You can get a watch. You can try it out. You can return it under whatever policy on eBay. Check the return policy, like I said before. On Chrono 24, send the seller a message. Like, unfortunately, Drew got a watch that was engraved with the initials, which is what he kind of mentioned in the beginning. He said he was going to come back to that later. So, obviously, he's not going to want a watch engraved A something M.
And be careful of descriptions, because on the description it did say...
But it didn't show the picture of the case back.
No, it only showed, it said monogram watch. Now, a monogram could be monogram of JLC.
It could be a
could mean anything.
Scene. It could be anything.
A monogram could mean literally anything. I thought it was the monogram of JLC. So I thought you flip it around and it says JLC.
It's not a very accurate description.
It's a very vague description. Yeah. If it would have said monogram with these initials, and that's not for me.
Yeah, but that's the they just want to sell it maybe. And the point is that maybe somebody will come along and be like, okay, fine, I don't care about that. Maybe they'll eventually snag a buyer. That'll be like, fine.
Or the other option is you can actually spend a lot of money to have that removed and put your own initials on it. But you're going to spend $500 to $600 at least trying to either get another case back and put your initials on it, or getting those initials off and then putting yours on. In the end, it's too much work. I have too many projects that I'm working on right now for me to go through another one. That's what I was telling Jared. Either this was going to be a perfect fit for me or it wasn't. Unfortunately, it wasn't. It's a great piece. It's just not for me because of the person who had it before me, which you saw, Alan was his name. And unfortunately, his initials don't match mine.
I wonder why he ever got rid of that
Maybe
watch.
he died. I don't know. It happens. I hear it happens to everybody eventually.
But they should pass it down.
Yes, they probably should have passed that
Now,
second.
well, next question. What? Here, let's go back upstairs so we can just do like a little, finishing touch here.
Sum this up.
I'm just curious to know now what your impression of the watch was. If it wasn't monogrammed, would you have kept it?
If the watch wasn't monogrammed, would I have kept it? Your answer would have been yes.
Really?
I would have kept the watch. A very unique piece.
Okay.
I like how comfortable it is. As you saw, it was very comfortable when you tried it on. Very nice. I would have kept it if it wasn't monogrammed. I did like the way it was running. I enjoyed pretty much everything. How to resize the band. Everything made sense. JLC did a nice job with the Reverso. I never held one of these. I've never tried one of these on. It was a really cool piece to try, especially for the show.
Yeah, I mean,
really cool.
And also the back of this part,
it's
collage, decorated beautifully.
I mean, take a look at that. Zoom in on that for a second. That is really cool.
Beautifully.
Okay, so I mean, it's really... that's one thing that JLC does beautifully. What they do with their watches, they may not be the most, Jared and I were talking about this, unique designs in terms of it pops at you, but the little intricacy details that went into that watch, you tell they did a very nice job on that piece. And I would have kept it if it wasn't monogrammed. Wow. But because of the monogram, I can't really do anything with it at that point, and I don't want to spend a lot more money because then
it's a shame.
my money's tied up in other projects right now. So, that being said, it has to go back, and we have to get going as well. But we want to thank you guys. Remember to tweet us,
guys. Again,
send us a
we
message.
We have a whole new year, all new episodes. These may be a little longer. We're gonna go more in depth. Things you haven't seen or known or anything like that before. Hey, listen. Let your friends know about us. I don't care what it is, how it is, why it is. Like us, be the first to get new content from us, send us email messages, leave us comments in the section below. I mean, this is a whole new year. I mean, listen, now you guys know a secret that if you guys want to get watches and try them out, again, not new necessarily, because you're going to get probably
a pre-owned piece.
But pre-owned piece, not a problem, because then, yes, you could resize it, just make sure you keep all the wings. I've had plenty of pre-owned pieces. I know Drew has had plenty of pre-owned pieces. We've sized it, and then something hasn't worked, and we've sent it back, but at least we got some enjoyment.
And it's worth mentioning, the only thing you are going to pay for, and keep in mind you would have to pay, is the shipping.
And that, which is nothing.
Regardless. Okay, well, this one's going to cost you a little bit more because you have to insure it to get it back to them. But outside of that, you know, if you're trying most pieces, it's not going to be too much. So the only thing you're going to pay back and forth is the shipping. Just realize that right now. If you do want to try pieces, for the most part, under their return policies, then make sure, like Jared said,
always
you don't break any
check
of
the
their warranties.
return policy, whether it's on eBay or it's on the vendor
Make
site.
sure you have everything. You bring everything back. The tags, everything that comes with it goes back with it in the same condition. This way, they can resell it to somebody.
And make sure, you know, obviously, don't get it and then like crack the crystal and then send it back. You have to send it back
best thing to do.
in as close to original condition that they sent it to in as possible. So I think that was a great episode, by the way. That was something
we
different.
put this one to bed, we say goodnight to this episode, and we'll see you next time on another episode of
It's About Time.